Hello everybody, welcome to another junk journal with me video. In this video I'm working on the last few pages of this journal. I have never been in a journal for as long as I have been in this one. I started this one in January last year, so January 2022. As some of you will know, I have had one hell of a year and a half, and I just haven't been as creative. So this is why I've been in here for so long, because like with everything that's happened in my life in this time, there's been like probably a cumulative at least 6 to 8 months where I didn't journal at all. So anyway, that's why. So I was desperate to get those last pages done and just move on out of this journal. But first I remembered that I actually saved these center pages to do a little bit of documenting on my trip to Iceland that I took at the beginning of this year, just because it has that far away thing on the page, and I had some photos that were quite, suited to that. When I went to Iceland back in January, because I wasn't being very creative at the time, I didn't save many things that I usually would on a trip. Like even if I took a day trip to somewhere, I would probably save more items, but it's fine. I have tons and tons of photos, but I had a few things to use. I had this bottle, water bottle wrapper that said like Icelandic water and had some pretty things on. I had the maps and things from the hotels and some brochures and general tourist guides. I did want a map of Iceland on there, but the one that was on one of the ones that I'd got was way too big, so I went to one of my old atlases and found the entire country of Iceland that was a suitable size to use. So I've cut that into just a little flip out, and I will do some journaling behind that. And on the back of that as well, I think I added the map of where our hotel was in Reykjavik. So just adding a few pictures that I printed off on my sprocket. That one I'm putting down there. I call it my sister's Scandinavian noir murder mystery photo, because it just looks like something you would see in one of those shows. And then the other picture that I'm going to tuck behind the pocket that I created with the bottle wrapper is me at Thingvellir. I was talking to the tour guide because it was towards the end of the day and I couldn't make it down to the viewing platform and back again in the time we had, just because of my illness and stuff. So I actually ended up just chatting to him about Icelandic sagas and stuff. So, but my sister got this cool photo, so I like that a lot. And I used some pretty packaging from one of my junk drawers to back that photo and punch out a little tab just to make it easier to pull in and out of the pocket. And I'm also putting some money in that pocket. And you might think, Grace, why are you putting money in your journal? Like, that's money to buy things with. Yeah, it's 500 Icelandic krona that I had left over. And the thing is, 500 Icelandic krona works out at, it's not even £3. It's not even $4. And you can't even get that changed back into pound sterling here. Like, it's not enough money. So I've just tucked it into my journal because I have nothing else to do with it. But I did, if I ever go back, I will take it out of my journal and bring it with me, of course. I added some journaling there, and then I was just having to check the map for the spelling of a place, because Icelandic spellings, they do be difficult. I also, some of the washi I added, which had lost its stickiness, so I'm adding some double-sided tape there to encourage it to stick down. Bought this years ago because it has little Viking ships on it. I studied that kind of thing at university, so I bought it ages ago and have had very little cause to actually use it, so I thought I would include it on here. And adding in my little flip out with the map there, I think that's pretty much everything I add to that page. I do know I did stick down one of those bottle wrapper pieces down the wrong way, so you can't see where it says fire and ice, or it says fire and ice backwards, but oh well, I'm not that bothered. But I'll be doing some more journaling on my little Icelandic adventure in my next journal. As I said, I really wanted to get something on that page that said far away. After I'd done those pages though, I very went into that mindset of, I don't know if anyone else does this, but when you're on those last couple of pages of a journal, you are in that mood of, I just want to finish them. I just want to get out. Like, I got to get these last things done. So I never tend to do anything too interesting or, I don't know, clever or overly creative or whatever. Tend to sort of just whap some stickers down and stuff and see how it ends up, as you see I'm doing on this page, this music page on the left. Those little gold floral pieces, if you saw my previous video, which was an art journal video, I was doing some fussy cutting for a page to get some butterflies, and they also had those florals on, which I thought were too cute to waste, so I'd cut them out and left them on my desk to use. And there we go, opportunity to use them. I did put a lot of Distress Oxide in saltwater taffy around them to make them look a little bit prettier, a little bit less harsh with the whiteness, and just created that quite pretty background. And there, some of you may have screamed at me, I did rip a page out, because I thought, you know what, it doesn't matter, I can just rip the page out. My journal, I'll do. And what am I doing there? I must have accidentally left some online shopping in. I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, what was I saying? Ripped out that page. If you are ripping a page out of your journal, just do be sure not to rip it too close to the spine, because then you risk the opposite page, you know, on the other side of the signature coming out as well. So leaving that sort of gap that varies between about 1/2 inch and 1 inch just makes sure that the opposite page is going to stay in place. And then I added some of that pink oxide around the edge as well to kind of make like it look was a little bit on purpose at least. Did my usual trick of some journaling. This is probably poetry copying rather than journaling, on top of vellum and then stapling it in place. I did take that pocket out of the previous page just to be extra sure that I didn't staple it into the page. I always find if you're stapling in your journal, just do a double check on the previous page that you're not going to ruin anything or accidentally staple something that you want to move in the future. Do you know what I mean? Just in case. I'm probably overly paranoid about these things, but anyway. Here I did more journaling on that other piece of vellum that was already in the journal, the pretty floral one, but I accidentally didn't film it, but it's literally just me writing. It's not that interesting. And it ended up being, I've basically been writing poetry from the Lord of the Rings in my journal when I struggle for something to write, and this ended up being quite a long one, and it would annoy me if I didn't finish it in the same journal. So then I did this tip in, which has the poem on either side, and then that still wasn't enough room and had to do that tiny little extra piece of vellum for the very last verse. This piece was being really, really fussy about being a tip in, like the washi did not feel like sticking for some reason, so I had to take off what I was originally using and try something else. But and I think I had to go back and glue it as well. I don't know, I'm having the worst luck with my washi tape stickiness at the moment. It's probably because I've had so much of my washi for such a long time, and it does lose its stickiness over time. Then, as I said, that's probably what's going on there. So I am having more and more often to use extra glue, extra tape when using washi. So just something to be aware of, especially if you've had tapes for a very, very long time. As I said, they do lose their stickiness. This page, again, super simple. Again, I'm just really filling up these last pages. I had done some cleaning up of my desk, my other desk in my bedroom, and found these photos of my cat Conan. They were just sitting there on this desk and thought, I'm going to just throw that in. Why not? And then the little bit of journaling there says, not nearly enough photos of Conan in this journal, so there you go, have a large photo of Conan. Now on the very last page, I did actually have a plan for what I wanted to add to this. Being the last page of the journal, there is an excerpt from a book that I really, really wanted to include. Just, I thought it would be really meaningful for the end of this journal that has seen me through, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, the worst year of my life. And yeah, basically, this is a bit from a book, Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. It's the 4th book in the Stormlight Archive. I'm very into high fantasy. I realise by the demographics of who watch my channel, not a lot of you will have read this book, but there is a passage in it that I read in about March, I think I finished this book, that I was just sobbing when I read it. When, you know, when something just hits you like that and it really, really gets to you. So again, I wanted it on the last page of my journal. So that page that I ripped out, I'm going to stick back in again, use that as a pocket, because as you probably saw, it was already sort of like a pocket made page, making a very, very large tag out of a piece of Tim Holtz walnut wallpaper. The front will be general pretty collage and things, and then I will add the words on the back as well. So while I do that collage, I'm going to read you those words now while I know that I have time to do so. I'm going to try not to cry because they tend to get me every time. I'm also not going to explain like the context and the background of the book, because otherwise if I start explaining the Stormlight Archive to you all, we're going to be here for hours and hours and hours, and you don't really need the context to understand. So it goes like this. It says, "It won't be like that for me," Kaladin said. "You told me it would get worse." "It will," Wit said. but then it will get better, and then it will get worse again, and then better. This is life, and I will not lie by saying every day will be sunshine, but there will be sunshine again, and that is a very different thing to say. That is truth. I promise you, Kaladin, you will be warm again. Ugh, the first time I read that, I swear to you, I was a mess. But it makes slightly more sense with the context of the book and understanding what's happening, obviously. But I think the general message is still pretty obvious. So, as I said, I had to include it. It was really, really important to me. Yeah. Now I don't really know how to move on from that because that was a bit serious and heavy. Look at the pretty stickers and things I'm using. Yay! What am I doing here? Adding a few rub-on stickers because hydrangeas. I love hydrangeas. So here where I'm going to add the writing, I wanted something else other than just the words. So I got one of these stamps. This is one of the Prima Princesses stamps. I wish I bought more of these when they came out, actually, because I really, really love them. Doing a little practice stamping there just to make sure it would fit and everything. I'm using Stays On ink in Dove Grey to make it, you know, a little bit lighter, a little bit more backgroundy than a harsh black colour. And then, as I said, I will do the writing over that. And because I'd done that practice stamping, I also did like a little practice writing to make sure it would fit and everything. I didn't do the best-ish job ever with the way I wrote it out, but it's fine. You know, it doesn't matter. I'll probably end up putting this passage in other journals at some point in my life anyway, so there we go. I am using a Pilot G2 pen for this, which is unlike me not to use a fountain pen, but I didn't have any fountain pens with black ink in them at the time, and this needed to be in black. And then I'm doing the last little bit in lettering with one of those Tombow Food Day something, can't pronounce it, pens. Although I've just remembered, because the last few words that I did with lettering, I did pencil them first, and I've just remembered I didn't then go back and erase the pencil lines, so I need to do that. I'm going to finish off the tag by adding a, oh, I'm having a brain blank, metal hole thingamy. Oh, the brain frog? Brain fog is strong today. Well, eyelets. I put an eyelet in, a pretty green one, or teal if you like. Used some bits and pieces from my box of twine to put through that. And then I'm going to do some very, very basic decoration to the pocket or the page that I ripped out to make it into a pocket, just with a few stickers here and there. And then I also used my Dymo label maker to write fin, you know, like the end, but the fancy bougie version of writing the end. So we know end of journal, but also the end of this journal is, in a way, the end of an era, if you like. For me, the end of something. I don't know. I'm looking forward to making a new journal, and I don't know. Time to move on a little bit. Anyway, shutting up. Don't want to go too deep. I haven't had enough coffee today for that. Okay, one little moment of deep and meaningful. I am adding a red rose there because red roses were my brother's absolute favourite flower, and it's very much a thing in my family now that red roses are something for Sam. So that's why I put that there. And I'll put my little important tag in, and finally we are done. Here are the last few pages that I created, and there we go. I will be making a new journal very, very soon. I'm super excited to show it to you. Thank you so much, as always, for watching this video. Chat to me down in the comments. Love talking to everybody, always. Leave me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Do all of the YouTubey normal things that YouTubers ask you to do, please, and thank you very much. And yeah, that's it. I am going. Thanks so much again. Bye-bye.